Hello, everybody. Excited Utterance here. My name's Hella, and it is Free Zachariah Anderson Day. It's been 2 weeks since we've had a Free Zachariah Anderson stream on this channel. Apologies, last week I had some family things to deal with, but it doesn't matter. We are back. We are back. And yes, we're getting right back into it. Hey, Ronnie, good to see you. Solomon's here. Hey, Solomon. Solomon is the dear brother and super brother, actually, of Zachariah Anderson. My love to you, all of our love to you, Solomon. Thank you for being here. And we have Melissa Simok. Thank you, Melissa, for being here. Now, we are streaming out to X also and to Facebook. So hello, Facebook friends out there. Now, today also we have managed to, somehow, I don't know how, but my post has been approved to go out into about 8 wrongful conviction Facebook groups. So I'm hoping that people in those groups see my post and manage to look at it and potentially view this stream. Even if not live, they manage to see this stream afterwards. So all those people who are interested in wrongful convictions and potentially see this post and look at this live stream, maybe on Facebook later or even come over to YouTube later. Hi and welcome. This is it's a sad case, as I'm sure you guys are used to seeing sad cases. If you've never heard of the Zachariah Anderson case, get ready, because there is some really, really bad prosecutorial misconduct for you to witness. We're up to part 5, and today is very much about the prosecutorial misconduct. So we'll look at that, but you can always backtrack, and we're also going to be posting lots of links for you to deep dive into this further. Okay, and my co-host is here.
Hi.
Hey! Hello, Dali. This is Salvador Dali.
Yes.
Not the painter.
No.
But no.
Just a poor imitation.
He's just as odd.
Yeah, well, that is true.
He is just as odd.
That is very true.
Yeah. He won't end the stream. No, but you love ending the stream.
I do, but I won't.
Yeah. And hello, Help Zachariah Anderson. Good to see you here. Claudia, you are awesome. Thank you. You're always sharing everything and just being so supportive. You're fantastic. Okay, so let's get into this. Oh, Lou Hillier's here. Lou Hillier, psychologist. Psychologist or psychiatrist? I'm not sure. I think it's psychologist. Hello, EU and everyone. It's so great to have you. Double-headed today. Oh, yeah. Myra M's here. Half Irish is here. Love you, half Irish. Christine. Hey, Christine, you were at work last night and you couldn't watch the stream, but that's okay. Lovely to have you back. Okay, so let's get into it. We are going to start here. So, it's a white screen. So that means that I can go, boom, welcome to part 5. Zachariah Anderson, not a murderer. An urgent fight for justice. And it's urgent. The reason it's urgent is because he's in prison and his kids are growing up without their dad. And that is horrible. Okay, and there's Zach. He's in his early 40s. I can't remember the exact age right now, but his life is wasting away. Huh?
I think he's 40.
No, he was 40 when it happened, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we do a quick recap of the charges. So the charges were 2 counts of stalking, one against his ex-girlfriend, this lady here. Her name's Sadie Beecham. He was with her for 13 years. They had 3 children together. And she was dating at the time this man here. Now, Rosalia Gutierrez, went mysteriously missing one day. And unfortunately, when he went mysteriously missing, the police assumed that meant that he was murdered. And so Mr. Zachariah Anderson was charged with first-degree intentional homicide and hiding a corpse. Now, There was no corpse. He was never found. How do you get convicted of hiding a corpse that was never found? That one always gets me. Really weird. I mean, I've heard of people being convicted for homicide, for murder, when there's no body found. But hiding the corpse?
Yeah.
That's weird. And also the first degree intentional homicide, that's also really kind of pushing it. Like when you've got nothing, like there's just nothing. There's no body.
Yeah.
There's nothing to show that there was any like intent. There was no like stab marks or anything like that. It's just really tricky.
Yeah.
But now the prosecutor actually talked a jury into this. And let's just stop it there because you'll just be amazed. Okay, so let's review the people we've met so far. So this is Zach. This is the defendant. And yeah, he looks all smiley and happy there. And we try and keep these streams lighthearted. And he likes to wear a white t-shirt and jeans, generally bought from Walmart. I'll say because he's a simple guy, maybe a bit of a cheapskate. We love Zach. He's just a nice guy. He's a regular guy. And the reason why we like to always talk about this is because you need to really be aware that this can happen to anyone, right? You should be really worried about this, everyone, because anybody could have this happen to them. He's just a regular guy, a regular dad. And this all stemmed from a custody dispute. Okay, so he and his girlfriend, Sadie, they were dating for a really long time. They had a family, and unfortunately, they started to squabble over who was the best person to look after the kids. And when that happens, sometimes it can go really, really bad. And unfortunately, it ended up with her saying that the person to best go and look at when her new boyfriend disappeared would be this guy. And the rest is history. Okay, so also, what about Zach? Well, he is, do you want to say it, darling?
The fastest, cleanest, stealthiest unaliver in the history of unalivers.
He is. Well, we've established this already, right? Because the thing about Zach is, if
Houdini.
the story is correct, if the state story is correct, then he must be all those things because he achieved the unachievable in a period of about 90 minutes, right? Well, it was about 3.5 hours all up, but he managed to drive a really long drive without being caught on any of the street cameras, any of the
freeway cameras,
etc.
Which and the only way for him to have gotten there and done it, and it would still be very tight in that time frame, is if he went on the freeways. Unless he's going 80 miles an hour with a body in the back of his van.
He's 44
on the back
in July.
roads.
Yeah. So he would have had to have flown, basically. That's why he's got a cape.
Yes.
Right. And the other thing is, he would have had to have single-handedly, unalived, with some sort of blunt object, a 260-pound man or 270-pound man very, very quickly, and done so without leaving any drag marks in the home of Rosalio Gutierrez, rolled him up in a rug. And somehow, even with a bad back, because this man here is only 180 pounds, he would have had to have lifted him somehow and gotten him out of the apartment and then got him into his own van without leaving a trace of himself in that apartment, because there's no trace of him there. And he would have had to pull this huge man out of that apartment and gotten him into a van with no one seeing him also, and then left no trace of that big men getting from that apartment into his van.
And I just
and then somehow disposed of him and left no trace of that body anywhere.
And I just want
Right.
to say, I have unfortunately had a 85-pound dog pass away.
Sorry, Solomon. He was 210 to 220 at the time of the alleged murder.
Okay.
But he was much, much smaller than the decedent.
Rosario.
The decedent. You know,
okay.
not sure.
Actually, that was about my weight at the time, and I'm not a weak man. I've a good back. But to drag this 85-pound German Shepherd to take it to the car to the vet to be cremated, I was sweating. I was panting. I needed help lifting my dog into the car. And I was dragging it the entire time because I could not physically lift 85 pounds of dead weight. So now Zach with a bad back, I was sweating. I was dripping sweat. So he does it with no drag marks. He just picks him up and puts him into the car.
It's physically impossible. However, that was the state's story, and the jury did not pick up on the missing pieces in that story. Yeah. So let's keep going. All right. So that's why we call him Super Zach. And his cellmates, when he was awaiting trial, I believe, called him Houdini, because apparently that means that he could make a dead body just disappear. And it's true. Like, that's really what he would have had to have done. He would have had to have made a dead body, this large dead body, just disappear. And if anyone here is watching this who watches like true crime and mysteries and things like that, really, it's really hard to just get rid of a dead body and make it completely disappear. It's really difficult. So it's one of those things that sort of it would take a fair bit of planning, and it would have meant that he would have had to have, I don't know, weighted it down and put it in the water somewhere that no one would have seen it. And there definitely would have been some tracking to be done. It's just very difficult. I didn't realize it was past 6:30. David kept jabbering on. Hey, Tina, how's it going? Thanks for being here. All right, so let's keep going. He was actually just a dude with a bad back. Yeah, and he had a bad back. So that also made it very unlikely. But let's keep going. Now, here's the other people we've met. So Sadie was the ex-girlfriend. They had a daughter. Her name for the purposes of this is OA. And they had twin sons. Still do, and they're growing up without their dad. Other people we have met, obviously Rosario, Sadie's new boyfriend and alleged victim. So he only was pronounced a deceased. He only had a death certificate issued by way of jury verdict. So when the trial happened, as far as everyone was concerned, he was still a missing person. He was still listed as a missing person. It was only because the jury found Zach guilty of intentional homicide and hiding a corpse that he was then taken off the missing persons register. Right? So no sign of him at all. Okay, next. Rebecca, we've met Rebecca. That's Sadie's friend. So Sadie and Rebecca did a lot of calling of the police in order to try and get Zach basically in trouble for stalking and things like that. This was leading up to Rosario going missing. Sadie was also the one to find the apartment where Rosario lived and some blood and things there. Now, question, we're not sure whether or not Rosario was actually unalived in that apartment. Again, we don't know, right? But we know that Sadie found the apartment, and the first person she called was actually Rebecca. Okay, next. Christine was Zach's new girlfriend. So both Sadie and Zach had started dating new people. Okay, so they weren't like obsessed with one another, as some people would say. So let's move on. Oops. Now, other people we've met so far are these two ladies. So whilst Rosario was dating Sadie, he actually was dating a couple of other people. So Kim Lavora was someone that he was talking to the night of his disappearance. And also the night of his disappearance, he had a date set up with this lady. Her name's Narrator Macias, or she goes by Nettie, I think, as well. Last stream, we went into a bit of detail about Nettie, or Narrator, and how she was planned to go and visit Rosario at his apartment that night. And she parked outside his apartment, and she actually had a meeting with the DA a year and a half, 2 years later, and changed her testimony about that.
Oh, Gravely would never do that.
Okay, so that was last stream, and if you want to catch up on last stream, go for your life. That's all there. So that's one of the many curious characters that we've met so far. So yeah, last time we went into the story of that lady, Narita Macias, and we found that there were more questions than answers left after her testimony. And this guy...
Why does he look like a cockroach?
He does a little bit.
Yeah.
He does a little bit, doesn't he?
Just need to put a couple antennas on his head, like go out and feel around the room.
It's not on purpose.
I know it's not on purpose. That's what's so funny.
It just happened that way.
That's what's so great.
Yeah, Nettie saw more than she admitted. I believe that Nettie's testimony was tainted, and I like the word tainted. Gravely needs those antennas. Okay, so for those of you who it's the first time watching, this is Michael Gravely, and he is the district attorney in Wisconsin. Is he still the district attorney?
He's retiring, but I think that's going to be in November.
Right.
Person who he's supporting is the assistant to Jamboy from the Jensen trial.
Right. Now, I'm really sorry, guys, but I'm going to subject you to some Gravely during this stream. The reason I'm going to, for those of you who are new to this, the reason I'm sorry about that, you will soon see. Yeah, Mr. Gravely took it upon himself to personally prosecute this, to actually go to the courthouse and be the one to stand there and prosecute this. And he did it with all his gusto. Tell you what. Anyway,
DAs only prosecute cases when they're big, they're high profile, it makes a name for themselves. And this was very high profile, nobody case.
He did not want to lose this one. I tell you what. Can I call him Dingleberry? And go for your life, Half Irish. Do as you please. Okay. And this guy was not allowed in the courtroom for Netta's testimony for reasons. Well, the reasons were he made himself a witness. He was the one who had a meeting with her after the incident, and her testimony changed. Okay, so that's enough about Netta. Let's keep going. And we promised in this section, in this series, this episode, to shine a light on other curious characters. So let's do that, shall we? Lightsabers. Like this guy. Oh, hello. So, someone Rosario owed money to and happened to dispose of a soiled rug around that time. Do you remember how in Rosalio's apartment there was a space? There was an empty space where there was blood in the apartment. On the carpet, you could see there was an empty space where there was no blood. And it looked very much like a rug had been pulled up. So there was clearly a rug missing from that apartment. And it was the prosecution's scenario that they put forth that Zachariah Anderson rolled up the bloody corpse in a rug. That was what they put forth, right? Well, who said that it was Zachariah Anderson who rolled him up in a rug? Could have been someone else, right? Okay, so anyway, that's just one thing. But this guy here, Michael Campbell, Who is he? Well, let's see. Let's let him introduce himself, shall we?
Junior.
So I'm going to refer to him as Junior for purposes of our discussion. Is that all right?
Yes.
How did you know Junior?
From Bradford High School.
That's where you met him?
Yeah.
And what can you say about, in general, what can you say about the friendship since Bradford? You said you're 42? Been a few years since Bradford, correct?
Yes.
So let's talk about the time period of May of 2020. How would you describe your relationship with Junior during that period of time?
I was working with him, so it's pretty good.
Okay. And other than the work relationship, were you guys in any other way companions, et cetera?
Yeah. I mean, we hung out all the time.
Okay. And at that time, did you have a girlfriend who also was in your life?
Yes.
What was her name?
Erica.
And and what, if anything, can you say about whether she was a person who would see Junior as well during that time period of May of 2020?
Yes.
Okay, so that's him introducing himself and how he's known to Rosalio. And by the way, he also goes by the name Junior, just in case you're confused by that. Okay, so now he also referred to someone called Erica Saylor. Right, so Erica Saylor was dating Michael Campbell at the time and was also apparently friends with Rosalio. Right, so if you didn't catch all that, basically this man, Michael Campbell, he worked with Rosalio Gutierrez, or Junior. They've known each other since high school, and they hung out. They're kind of mates. And also he has a girlfriend called Erica Saylor, who is also also Rosalio's friend. Okay, so that's her. She actually testified as well in this trial. So let's move on.
2020, what kind of work were the two of you doing?
Painting, flooring, whatever would pay the bills. I mean, general contract work.
And what was the relationship between the two of you? Were you partners? Did one of you work for the other? Can you describe that relationship?
He had his own business. I had mine, and we just kind of worked together. He was better at finding jobs, so it's kind of why I teamed up with him, because he was really good at that, and obviously had all the connections with investors and stuff like that. So,
and have you at some point? Was there a time on May 19th, 2020, that you became concerned about Rosalio Gutierrez?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. So on the 19th, so that's a Monday.
Mm-hmm.
What was the first contact that somebody had with you? Sorry, it was a Tuesday. What was the first contact somebody had with you that Tuesday that led you to start thinking or wondering about Rosalio Gutierrez?
I got a message from Eileen, and she asked if I heard from him, and I said no, but it wasn't unlikely for us to go a few days without,
And who was Eileen so that she would get in touch with you?
Right.
Come on, sir. Answer it. Oh, you paused.
No. I'm going to help with this. Okay, so Eileen Knoll, there she is, was an investor who regularly employed both Rosalio and Michael Campbell as contractors for work on her properties. Right. She had been trying to contact Rosalio on his phone that day. Right. So I just want to put in context so that when new names and faces come up, and we haven't seen their testimony, I just wanted to put a name to a face, and so people can kind of go, okay, well, right, that's who Eileen is. Because otherwise it can get just a bit like, well, what's all this stuff that's going on? So Eileen Knoll had both of them working at one of her properties during the week before, and something wasn't quite finished off correctly, and she had been trying to contact Rosalio to get it fixed up. And he obviously wasn't answering his phone because he'd gone missing in some way, right? So she noticed that his text messages had been going to, you know how when you're on iCloud, they go through as, you're not on Apple. They go through, you can see that they go through as iCloud messages, but when the person has their phone off, you can see that they go through just as text messages.
Yeah.
She noticed that happening on the Monday, I think it was. Anyway, so she testified to that. Did she used to date Rosalio as well? Oh, wow, that's a nugget of information. Thanks, Solomon.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway.
Who didn't Rosalio date? Good Lord. Dated half the women in Kenosha.
Don't know. Right, her and RG had a thing going on. There you go.
Wow.
Right. Okay.
2020. What kind of work were the two of you doing?
What's going on?
Painting, flooring.
Okay. Right. So anyway, so she apparently alerted this guy to the fact that the messages that she'd been sending hadn't been going through. That's what he's testifying to anyway. So let's keep going.
That we both worked for.
And so when she contacted you and asked you if you knew where he was or if you'd heard from him, what did you do in response to that?
I told her that I haven't heard from him, and I could find out, you know.
Okay. And what'd you do? What'd you do next? What's the first thing you did to try to find out?
I went and paid my truck payment, I believe, and then I drove past his house, and then.
Let me ask you first. Did you call him?
I don't recall. I honestly don't remember.
Okay. So when you drove past his home, had you been to his home before?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you see there, if you recall?
Crime scene, you know, a bunch of police tape or whatever, caution tape.
If you had a general estimate, do you know about what time you would have arrived there?
I don't know. It was afternoonish, I would say.
Okay. And when you got there, did you make yourself known to law enforcement in some way?
Yeah.
Let him know. And what'd you say to him?
I said, well, they approached me and they asked, what are you doing here? I was like, looking for my friend Junior. And then that's when they just started asking me questions.
And what, if anything, can you say about whether you provided them information at that time?
What was that?
What, if anything, can you say about whether you provided information to the police at that time? Did you tell them some things?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I told them everything that I, knew and whatever.
So did you give them, for instance, some names of people they might want to reach?
Right. Yeah. Other friends. And
you remember who you told them?
I know one of them was Jeremy Kipp. I wasn't sure with the new boss that he was working with down in Waukegan or wherever it was. I didn't know his name exactly. I don't recall any other ones, but.
Do you know if you gave the police Eileen Knowles' name, or do you know?
I probably did, yeah. I mean, because obviously that was the reason why I went over there. So.
We show bravely.
So after you were at the scene and saw the police tape and asked your question, what did you do next?
I just went home and was just trying to gather my thoughts. It was very, scary to me.
Okay, so let me stop you. Who was home when you got there, if you remember?
At my house?
Yep.
My girlfriend at the time.
Okay, is that Erica?
Yes.
All right. And what, if anything, did you do next that you remember?
Just posted all that.
I just was talking to her about the whole situation, and then just, I guess, doing our own investigations.
Did anybody else arrive at your house at some point?
Yes.
And who was that?
My friend Brandon.
And in general, how did he come to arrive at your house, if you know?
What do you mean?
Well, did somebody call him?
Oh, no, he was in town.
Was it a car? Was it a
a
bike?
tattoo
Was it
done
a
or something? And he might have called me, or I might have called him or something. Maybe he called me because I think he seen my post on Facebook asking if anybody has seen Rosalio.
Okay, so you posted something on Facebook?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Let me finish my question before you answer.
Sorry.
Okay?
Yeah, shut up,
So
sir.
my question was, did you post something on Facebook because of what you saw at Rosalia's home?
Well, because I was told that he was missing.
Okay.
So
And so at some point you were in touch with this other individual, and his name again?
Brandon
Okay. And so Brandon, where did you meet Brandon or see Brandon next?
he came to my house.
Okay. When Brandon got to your house, what happened next?
We just got the information, found his address, and went to his house.
So in general, do you recall how you got anybody's information?
Facebook and
MySpace?
I want to say maybe CCAP. I'm not sure.
And do you remember getting information? So like, who was it who was finding this information, if you know?
Erica was getting the information.
All right. And did you then at some point believe you had the name of a person that you were focused on?
Yes.
Okay. So my question is,
Where do babies come from?
how did you come to have a particular person in mind that you felt you guys should be looking into?
Well,
I
I
just
mean,
wanna
Called
find
for
someone else.
speculation and hearsay.
Here we go.
I don't think this question does. The objection is overruled.
So again, how did you come to be focused on a particular individual worth looking up?
Well, it has some risk of getting some hearsay. Be
Does
ready
he
to
look
be
like the
interrupted.
hunchback of Notre Dame?
do what you got to do, buddy.
Start.
Did you hear what he said?
Yeah.
Do what you got to do, buddy.
Yeah. You go ahead and start.
So I was working with him, obviously, and he had
With we don't know who him is.
Junior, sorry. And he had mentioned to me.
All right, there we are.
So based on some discussion or conversation you had with Junior, without telling us what that conversation was, did you have a name or
Thank you, Dina.
some reason to look up a particular human being on the planet?
The question still calls the basis of
Well,
it is
does. It is. Yeah.
the exact same thing.
It doesn't ask what.
Lawyers will argue about this.
Okay.
But I have to agree that it's pregnant with hearsay.
Pregnant. with
Okay.
hearsay.
After any discussion you had, when you discovered that Rosalio Gutierrez was missing, who did you then focus on? Was there a particular person who you focused on?
Yes.
And who was that?
Well,
Same objection.
not exact. Well, it's the same objection. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit different, but
Revealed no content. He's simply saying,
yeah,
I
well,
now went to look at a particular person.
yeah, we could argue about this till we're blue in the face,
And want to know about trial by combat?
So what's happening here is the DA here is trying to get evidence in that is hearsay.
Tainted.
Right. Okay. So he's trying to get evidence in that is the words of a man who is unavailable to be there due to him being missing. Right. And this is a sore point for this judge. The reason being is he's had this happen before, and we're not going to talk about it at length, Darlie. I know you and I would love to talk about this at length because it's from another trial that you and I have some history with.
Yes.
And I haven't included this in this stream because the argument did go on for about, 3 years. But he's talking about hearsay evidence from someone who is supposedly passed on, right? So you can't have someone who is definitely not available to be at trial, potentially someone who has passed away, their words being admitted at trial because that person can't be cross-examined, right? So therefore, it's like the letter from the grave, right? So the letter from the grave in Wisconsin is a really important case. So that is Wisconsin versus Jensen. Julie Jensen, she wrote a letter that said, if something bad happens to me, if I end up being unalived,
Or
go
found,
and look at my husband,
Yeah,
Mark
yes.
Jensen, because he's been trying to poison me.
and is a
Now,
creep.
Yeah, right. And the judge here, this particular judge, Judge Schroeder, he had to try that case with that evidence brought in, even though apparently he knew that the Supreme Court would, on appeal, overturn that conviction. And
Eventually.
it did. And he had to be retried without that evidence. So, and to this day, he still keeps talking about it.
Yes.
And that's why
15 years later, he is
20
still
years later.
okay.
20
Yeah,
years.
actually, yeah, because that was around the 2004, 2005. So yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. 20 years later.
Yeah. So anyway, so a victim's evidence, well, a person's evidence who is passed on, their words cannot be brought in as hearsay.
Or
Right.
their letters
So-
cannot. And
Yes.
well, it's a fine line. But
Yes. So what DA Gravely is trying to do is he's trying to bring in the fact that Rosalio spoke to his friend and said, you know what, there's this guy, Zachariah Anderson. And Zachariah Anderson, he's a bad guy. He's been trying to break me up with my new girlfriend. And you know what, I'd like to go over to his house and like check him out and la la la. So there's been all this chitty chat about Zachariah Anderson. So that's what DA Gravely would like to get in, right? And the judge is like, I'm not going to get myself in that hot water again. So that's what that's all about. Now, welcome, David Raiders. Good to see you all. Hello. Hey. What about the Ouija board to cross-examine? Yeah, well, that would be fun. That would be fun. This case is unreal. Yes, it is. It is. Welcome, everybody. Hey.
hey, Lynn.
Hey. MLS Law sent you. Yes, I know. Good to see everybody here. So let's keep going. If you have any questions about this, please yell out. We have so many people from the Free Zachariah Anderson community here who can answer your questions. We need more eyes on this case. There is a man in prison for the rest of his life, and his kids are growing up without their dad. This is a really important one. And if you see at the top of chat, there is a link to his Give, Send, Go. You know what? We've made it to his first goal, which is a $50,000 goal for his defense fund, but it could go up to about $500,000 that he's going to need to defend himself and try and get his appeal. All right. So, and you know what? There are so many reasons why his appeal should be successful. And today I'm just going to show you a couple. Okay. But there are so many things wrong with this case, so much misconduct that's gone on. This is just a travesty of justice. But unfortunately, you don't get these things to happen with just no funds at all. And the state's already bled him of everything. He's already
spent $400, probably close to $500,000.
Yeah, so he needs cash, guys. So thank you, like and subscribe. Thank you so much. But yes, if you can give anything, just a couple of dollars, anything at all, to Give, Send, Go, that would be amazing. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, Josie did a great job with it, and others. There's a few people that did it.
The Wrongful podcast, yes,
Yeah.
indeed. This is a podcast too, though, as well. So she might be referring to this one too.
Oh,
So, awesome. Yeah. Cool. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. So yeah, you can listen to this as a podcast if you are enjoying listening via podcast instead of watching. Okay. Now we get to see why the jury did not get to see how Mr. Campbell knew to go to Zach's house and confront him about Rosalio's disappearance. We get to see why the jury did not get to see how Mr. Campbell knew to go to Zach's house. How do you know, right? The jury didn't get to see it, right? Let's go. This is outside the presence of the jury. So much stuff happened outside the presence of the jury. No wonder they. Sometimes we get a bit upset with the jury because we're like, how could the jury convict based on these facts? But they saw only this much of it, and we got to see an awful lot more, didn't we? Right, so let's go.
Been evidence that's been introduced as to why Mr. Campbell went to Mr. Anderson's home. The evidence that's come in has been that Eileen Knoll had texted Mr. Campbell Zach's name, and that then Erica Saylor took that name and looked it up. The evidence that's come in has not been, oh, we were having a dinner with Mr. Gutierrez and he told us all of this, and so then I knew based on that conversation I needed to go do X. The testimony that's come in is that Mr. Campbell has acted in a way because of what was told to him by Eileen Knoll. He was given a name, they looked him up, that's how he then got the address and went on his way. Additionally, the defense at no point has said that it's the lack of investigation of friends that led to Mr. Anderson sitting at table. It's the police. Mr. Campbell is not the police. So to then try to make the inference and the jump that the defense in its opening statement attacking the police interrogation allows for all hearsay about why what lay witnesses did next is relevant, the defense would adamantly disagree with that. And so the state now saying they're trying to introduce this, it's relevant to show why Mr. Campbell took the next steps. They've already established why he took the next steps. This is something else. We can't just have a plethora of information going to the same thing. And at that point, Judge, is critical, because then that just goes to show how there really is no probative value. And the state even admitted the probative value is minimal. Those were the exact words that the state said. So if the probative value is so minimal that the underlying policy pursuant to the case law that I cited was that it should really only come in if there's no other available evidence. We have available evidence. There's been additional explanations of why Mr. Campbell went to Mr. Zachariah Anderson. This evidence should be excluded.
Well, I quoted Weed as saying that the evidence was minimal. I in no way meant to say that this evidence was minimal.
Okay, so what he's referring to when he says Weed is he is referring to a bit of case law that he tried very, very hard to convince the judge to allow him to bring in this testimony from the deceased man. But the judge wasn't having it. So that's what that is.
Merely meant to indicate that it had a very specific and limited purpose, which was to explain what happened. You know, counsel wishes there to be a world where you can argue to a jury, hey, these people did some shady things. Mm-hmm. They showed up at the scene. Why did they show up at the scene when the cops have just, gotten there just hours earlier? Why did they show up at Mr. Anderson's home? And the clear implication of these things are that these people are doing things to either block and obstruct an investigation, mm-hmm. or that they are in on it in some fashion, because that's why you explain these things as suspicious or worthy of further investigation. You know, one of the things counsel asked you yesterday out of the presence of the jury, which was appreciated.
Let's just stop for a second. Did he not just explain exactly what the jury would have put together on their own if the testimony had been left alone, right? Let's just go back. He said that what the defense would like is, in their world, what they would like is for them to be able to tell the story that some people did some shady things. Well, you know what? Some people did some shady things. Let's just listen to that again.
They showed up at the scene. Why did they show up at the scene when the cops have just, gotten there just hours earlier? Why did they show up at Mr. Anderson's?
Why did they show up at Mr. Anderson's home? Why did they show up at Mr. Anderson's home? How did they even know who Mr. Anderson was? Why are these people, we're talking about Mr. Campbell now that was just on the stand, a friend of Rosalio Gutierrez, someone who didn't know Mr. Anderson at all, the defendant, did not know him at all, right? From a bar or so, didn't know him. Why did he and his friend get in his mum's car, by the way, not his normal car, but his mum's car, right? Why did they go and drive for an hour and a bit to this stranger's house and just chat to him about the fact that his friend is missing? Why? Right? So then what's the jury to think? That does sound shady, don't you think? So this is all outside the presence of the jury. The jury, why can't they make up their own mind about that? Yeah? Why are they not allowed to make up their own mind about that?
It's home. And the clear implication of these things are that these people are doing things to either block and obstruct an investigation or that they are in on it in some fashion, because that's why you explain these things as suspicious or worthy of further investigation. One of the things counsel asked you yesterday out of the presence of the jury, which was appreciated, was to be able to get into evidence about Mr. Campbell and whether he went to Pheasant Run landfill the day after. Why are you interested in whether he went to a landfill? Why would that be relevant unless you are intending a jury to believe that Mr. Campbell is involved in this homicide and is now dumping evidence of that homicide? Otherwise, why would you care whether he has visited a landfill the day after, not when the body's discovered, but the day after he goes missing?
What?
Before the body.
What? What body? Hang on. What body, Mr. Gravely? What are you talking about? There's no body. Dude, are you the one who's had a brain injury? Like, I thought that was the judge. Hang on. He just forgot the biggest basic fact of the case. There was no body discovered. Hang on.
Body is even discovered by law enforcement. There's no other purpose in doing that.
Body, you meant
what?
event.
Did I say discovered?
Body.
The missings and the bloody scene and missing Rosalio Gutierrez was discovered. I apologize, Judge, for that factual.
Good Lord, even Schroeder corrected him.
Schroeder corrected him.
This guy had like 3 brain surgeries and was in the hospital for months.
They ain't got nobody. Look, okay, it's funny, but it's not.
No.
Right? Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. I make fun of him, but it's infuriating.
Okay, yeah, I made a TikTok about this. It came out during the night my time. It was probably a midday for you guys. So like and share the TikTok, everybody, or the short, whatever it was.
Inaccuracy. So, the counsel wishes there to be a world where those things can be implied directly, both in your opening and in your cross-examination of the various witnesses, and that the state in response must be left with simply the cryptic idea that one person provided a name and address in a text to another person without any explanation, and that suddenly two people are going to visit that individual before the police even get there. Cryptically, what is a jury to piece together there in the context of all the other allegations that have been suggested here? What would be reasonable interpretations from the jury based on that evidence? Why would they have Zachariah Anderson's name and address without any context? And be so concerned that they would head over there? Well, certainly a very logical conclusion on that was that they're in on it, that they have done something, or maybe they're busy framing him, right? Or something like that, where none of those things are a part of what the state is suggesting, which is that.
No, none of those things are what the state is suggesting. Correct. That's not what you're suggesting, but you just admitted that is what the logical conclusion is. So therefore, why not let the jury work it out for themselves? Why? Because that's not what you're suggesting. That's not your narrative. You just painted it out perfectly, Mr. Gravely, but unfortunately, the jury ain't there to hear it. There you go. It's right there. It's right there, right? So there it is. There is the state, the district attorney saying flat out that the facts speak for themselves, right? The facts speak for themselves. The jury could absolutely come up with a perfectly reasonable, logical explanation of the facts, unless he brings in some hearsay, which we all know is basically just Rosalio saying to his friend, there's this guy and my new girlfriend is having some problems with him. And we all know it's basically just a custody dispute. That's all it is. Right? So that's all he's trying to get in. This is disgusting.
That there's this limited piece of evidence which gives context so the jury has an alternative explanation as to why that occurs.
An alternative explanation. So his alternative explanation is the state's theory. That's it. An alternative explanation. An alternative explanation that suits him. Okay, so the state did manage to have Mr. Campbell testify to finding out about Zachariah Anderson through his employer and girlfriend. They went, it was Zach, right? So yeah, Mr. Campbell, Mike, whatever your name is, you should go give him a visit. Go give him a visit because you know what? He had something to do with this and it's a vigilante state. Off you go. Off you go. You guys, go. So yeah, he managed to get it in through them, but that obviously wasn't what Gravely wanted. He wanted the words of Rosalio, but that didn't work out. It was a tenuous link, but the court allowed it. Now, for Mike's story about his trip in his mom's burgundy Kia. To have a chat. I don't know if Kias really sound like that or not.
Yeah, it was a little loud.
That might be getting a little bit.
What? I can't hear you.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. Sorry. Vroom, vroom.
Going to go to find a person who you had identified as Zachariah Anderson?
Definitely
You know that?
not.
Okay. So who went along?
Me and Brandon.
Who drove?
I did.
What vehicle was used?
My mom's car,
And in general, where did you go to?
to his house.
Okay. Do you remember where that was in general?
I had no idea where I was at. I GPS'd it.
Okay. And had you ever been to, what, if anything, can you say about whether you'd ever been to that location before in your life?
I'm a general contractor. I'm all over. So I've never been in his area,
Okay. So you had not been to this area that your GPS took you to?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you know what Zachariah Anderson looked like when you drove?
No.
Can you give me an estimate on how long it took you to get there?
I think like an hour, something like that.
And what, if you recall, about what time did this drive take place? Again, understanding it was a while ago, about how long did it take to drive there?
Objection asked and answered. He just said
sorry.
about an
I
hour.
apologize. What time of day did you drive?
It was like afternoon, 4-ish, 5-ish, because it started to get dark when we were, out there.
Okay. So when you drive, do you go straight to that location?
Yes.
All right. And when you arrive where your GPS directs you, what happens next?
We both get out the car. We're walking up to the front door. There was no stairs leading to the front door. I thought that was kind of odd. So I didn't want to jump over his railing to knock on his door. So we walked around to the back, and then that's when I seen Zach, and that's when I engaged to talk to him.
Is the person that you just identified as the person you were speaking to, is that person here in the courtroom today?
Yes.
For purposes of the record, Mr. Campbell, can you point that individual out and say what that person is wearing today?
He is wearing a gray suit with a blue tie.
Wait, so are you?
And the accused.
Mr. Campbell, what was the defendant doing when you first saw him?
Throwing something away in the dumpster on his phone.
And if you remember, what were the weather conditions like on that particular day when you arrived at his house? Rainy?
It was cloudy.
Okay. And when you were approaching, did you, if you were able to tell, were you able to notice the defendant first, or did he notice you first, if you could tell?
Honestly, when I walked up, it seemed like he kind of had his back to us throwing something in a dumpster, and
He
so
took
I
out trash.
believe I noticed him first.
Okay.
That's
And
guilty.
who said something first?
Me.
Okay. And what did you say to the defendant?
Said, hey, I'm here to look for Zachariah Anderson. It's about a friend that is missing that I have belief that you have something to do with it.
And was Brandon, I'm not asking specifically, but was Brandon Hendrickson also speaking to the defendant at the same time you said what you just said?
Not much. I did most of all the talking.
Okay. What, if anything, what did the defendant say when you said, I'm looking for Zachariah Anderson and I am concerned he might have something to do with my missing friend? What did he say, if anything?
He denied that it was himself. Said he was his brother or something. And that he said he was going to call him or something.
And what happened next?
He went inside.
He is who? Say.
Zach.
Okay, that's the defendant?
Yes.
Okay, then what happened?
He went inside, and I don't know what he did. Obviously, he was inside. And then was basically kind of talking to us through the window.
Hey, stop for a second. Where were you at that point?
Still in the driveway.
Okay. When the defendant goes inside, do you change your location in the driveway as best you remember, or do you stay where you were?
We were actually making our way back towards the car because we didn't know what he was going in the house for. Okay. So I was just being aware of my surroundings.
So how close were you to your car, your mom's car, when you had some interaction with the defendant again?
25, 50 feet.
From your car?
From my car.
Okay, quote, and 25 feet and then towards the house still? 25 feet away from your car in the direction of where his house was located?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the nature of the next interaction between the two of you and the defendant?
He basically said he didn't know anything what we were talking about. So I basically just said, okay, well, I'm sure you'll be talked to by other people. And we left.
Did you tell him who you thought was going to be talking to him?
Yeah.
Who'd you say?
The detectives.
Yep. Okay. He said, I'm sure the detectives are going to be talking to you. It sounds like such just a amiable conversation, doesn't it? It sounds like it's really polite, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think it was?
Oh,
I
sure.
doubt it somehow.
I'm sure it's just two buds, Hey, have you seen my friend? I heard you made him unalive, so I'm just checking.
Yeah, just checking.
I'm
okay,
just checking.
bye.
I normally confront people who I think have unalived my friend. I just go up to them and ask, hey, have you murdered my friend? I don't know.
Yeah. No,
I'm just checking.
bye.
I'll let the authorities handle it later, but I just want to know, as a friend,
Yeah.
Did you kill my other friend?
Okay. No, but I didn't mean any harm.
Yeah,
Okay,
no
see
harm.
ya.
Okay, bye.
Okay.
Oh,
I just
you
walked
didn't?
over here.
Okay,
No, you
cool.
didn't?
Later.
Okay. Okay. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice meeting you for the first time.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, I just drove all this way, but like it was a
Yeah,
nice
yeah.
drive. Scenic
Hey,
route.
hey, do you want to go to Dave & Buster's next week? I hear they got some crazy fries, 2 for $1.
Also, that's my mom's car. It's nice, huh?
Yeah, yeah. It's even better than Joe Brooks' car. You know, in Wisconsin, we all drive our mom's car.
Yeah, we all drive our mom's car in Wisconsin.
No offense, Saul.
Okay, so if you're curious who called the police after this, actually it was this guy.
Super
Zach.
Zach.
Yeah, Zach. So how many murderers within like a day or two of the act actually call the cops? Right? Like that's unusual, isn't it? Yeah, not very many, I don't think. Right? And if you're wondering why he said he was his brother and not him, probably frightened, I would say. Yeah,
There's
more
like
than
5
likely.
guys there.
2, but yeah.
2, okay.
2 dudes just turn up on your doorstep like at nighttime, and I reckon they look pretty threatening. Like you saw him.
If the HOA president shows up in my door, I'm like, I'm not Matt. I don't know him. I'll let him know you called. Bye.
Yeah,
I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to know. I'm not him. Don't talk to me. Leave me alone.
So yeah, but wait, there's more. Okay, so this is that witness on cross-examination. So Miss Muller, Nicole, badass Nicole, she got to talk to him a bit. So let's just see what happened then.
May 17th, 2020, your phone pings at Mr. Gutierrez's apartment.
Okay, so that is the day in question.
Okay.
But you previously said that the only time you saw him was either on Friday or Saturday. You can't remember.
Objection, that mischaracterizes the evidence. He didn't say that's the only time he saw him. He just said that's the time he saw him. Obviously, it's not the only time. He's seen him many times over his life.
Friday or Saturday, you said that event was this, as the state said, a pizza party, and that was at your house, correct?
Right.
So what were you doing at Mr. Gutierrez's apartment on May 17th, 2020?
Like I said, I could have went over there, had some beers with him. You know, if he had a job that I had to go somewhere different, maybe I needed some tools that he had, or vice versa.
But would you have gone there without texting him first?
Objection calls for speculation.
It's this own witness.
Okay. I have never seen any lawyer just interrupt and just talk over another lawyer like this ever, right? And the way the judge is just letting him do this, it just disgusts me. She just can't question him normally. Like he's like, objection. No, and then not just objection, but he's seen him many times in his life, blah, blah, blah. It's not just objection. He continues and provides a narrative as well. And it's ridiculous. He won't let her just make a point. Yeah, it goes on.
Well, I don't know. You could ask him whether he did or not, but you're asking whether he would have done so, which is, you're really asking what he might have done, which isn't, well, it's irrelevant.
Before you go to Mr. Gutierrez, you've been to Mr. Gutierrez's apartment before.
Correct.
Normally when you go, do you text or call him and let him know you'll be coming by?
Not all the time.
Hold on. Same objection.
This is what he normally does. It's not asking would he. It's habit evidence, Judge.
Well, and there are limitations on that, but he can answer.
Say it again.
And what she's asking is whether you would typically contact him beforehand that you were coming. I think that's what she's asking.
Yes.
Yeah, normally I would, yeah.
And, but you hadn't texted him on the 17th or called him and told him that you were coming, correct?
I guess not, no.
The state had asked you about Mr. Gutierrez owing you money. You had said there were times, where he owed you money for the work that you guys were doing. Around this time, Mr. Gutierrez owed you some money, correct?
Correct.
Do you remember how much?
No.
Hey, Luna.
How would I remember that?
You don't have to say anything further.
What did he owe you money for?
Work,
What kind of work?
painting, flooring, general contracting work.
Now, when you worked, did you ever work with him and other guys, or was it that he would send you out to a job site and you would do it and then he'd pay you?
We worked together. Sometimes we worked separate on different projects that he had going on.
And in working with Mr. Gutierrez and other people, did you ever work with an individual named Dan Spear?
Yes,
And Dan Spear was another individual who did work for Mr. Gutierrez.
I want to say he only did work for him a couple of times.
Was there a reason for that, to your knowledge?
Objection. Irrelevant. I'm not on notice of any information about Mr. Spear and have no reason to believe it's relevant whether his reason was of not being employed in
What's the relevance?
Its relevance as to conversations between Mr. Gutierrez and Mr. Dan Spear, which were included in the discovery provided by the state to the defense.
Again, Judge, that sounds like hearsay.
It might be, but that's a question in and of itself. The objection is overruled. You
So
can
let me-
answer.
My objection is speculation as well. How would he know what the circumstances were of Mr. Spear no longer working?
I asked him if he knew.
Do you know the?
Yeah, I know that he has worked with him. I've actually helped Dan Spear on a job for Eileen. And I don't know any other jobs that they did.
Now, with Mr. Gutierrez owing you money for the work that you've done, do you remember admitting to law enforcement that the only times you really ever got mad at Mr. Gutierrez was over money owed?
The only time I got mad at Mr. Gutierrez was the situation with Dan and Junior.
What happened with that situation?
Junior had him do a tile surround for $150.
And why did that make you angry?
If you understand and know pricing, that's terrible.
What would the norm, and this was something that he was supposed to pay Dan Spear for?
Right, which I had to help because he didn't have the tools or a vehicle to get to the job.
Now we remember.
And how much would the pay be for a job like that?
Objection irrelevant, Judge. What we're now talking about is whether Rosalio Gutierrez paid enough money to Dan Spear. Irrelevant.
No.
Whether he has knowledge or not, irrelevant.
What is the relevance?
Again, the relevance is going to come out with detectives and the theory of the defense about not investigating people. There are several messages from Dan Spear to Mr. Gutierrez that was provided by the state to the defense. This witness has also testified that that was the only time he got angry. It was a tricky situation. That text message string is a very aggressive text message string about monies owed from Mr. Gutierrez to Dan Spear.
Sounds like.
If you were questioning him specifically about the incident, but
Right, Malcolm?
at this point, the relevance has not been demonstrated.
And again, Judge, this is the Denny stuff that we talked about before.
Denny.
And I mean, based on the record that was just made.
Not Denny.
Counsel,
All right, that's enough.
Okay, I'm sorry to have subjected you to that, but I felt the need, especially for people who've not seen this trial before, to just show exactly what this prosecutor was like, right? So earlier, what I showed was outside of the presence of the jury, and he was really out of line, but this is him in front of the jury, right? And the way he is only allowing his own narrative to be heard and speaking over the defense attorney and not allowing her to just properly cross-examine the witness it's appalling. It's like, just let her cross-examine him. That's what the justice system is about. Every witness should be able to be cross-examined. Otherwise, why is the witness there? Don't bring the witness in if you're not going to allow that witness to be cross-examined. Right? So he's not even letting her finish questions, and he's just assuming what the end of her question is going to be. And sometimes he's not even letting the judge make a ruling. It's just appalling. And like Malcolm said, everything's irrelevant except for his ridiculous theory about Zach committing the crime. Usually with relevancy objections, what I've seen, because again, I'm not a lawyer, but I've watched a lot of trials, what I've usually noticed with relevancy objections is judges let there be a little bit of leeway, like they let the attorneys establish what the relevancy is.
Yes, that's typically how it is in Wisconsin, as Schroeder has said numerous times during Rittenhouse and this. Basically, the Wisconsin Court of Appeals wants objections on the record. So it means either sending the jury out each time, or they don't, and the judges don't feel like it's good to keep constantly sending the jury out every time there's an objection, which leads to more speaking objections in court.
Yeah, but that's fine for there to be a speaking objection. However, what's happening here, though, and I'm noticing, is that the judge is then going with the prosecution. So he's going, okay, but okay, I don't see what the relevancy is. So he's not giving the defense enough of an opportunity to show the relevancy, right? So he's saying, I don't see how this is relevant. Okay, so stop this line of questioning. And even though Nicole Muller there was saying, yes, it is relevant because it's showing that there's going to be some anger there. There's a large string of text messages that shows anger, and there's more to this, and the state has provided all of this. Still, no. So, the talking objections are annoying, but I know what Dali's talking about. But what would be even more annoying if you're the jury is being sent out for 50% of the trial, and that's kind of what happened in this instance.
Yeah, well, what's happening in Young Thug.
If Schroeder did not wait with the rulings to the last possible moment, there would never be many conflicts in the middle of testimony. Well, Schroeder creates half of these problems himself. Oh yeah, I agree, 100%.
Well, it's even worse in Young Thug as well. But yeah, judges often end up being the creation of these issues. Oh God, he looks like even more of a cockroach there.
Well, I tried to draw a little suit on him, and that's kind of how it worked out.
No, I like it.
I know you do. So far, we've met a lot of curious characters in this story. A lot, right? A lot. But and that's not even all of them. There's more yet. That this guy seems to be just about the most normal one amongst them. He really does. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, I can't find much about him so far. And this is when I was watching the trial, like, as I was watching it with no commentary, I was really thinking, like, what, like, this guy seems really normal, and all these people seem really weird. Okay, so is Zach the murderer? Start to wonder about some of these other people. And by the way, guys, I put a link up earlier. There was what's called a Denny motion. And I don't want to go into too much legal jargon without our friend David here on stream. And I have booked him for a week or two away once he's finished his hiatus. Hello, David. You're supposed to be on retirement break. And yeah, David is going to join us and go through the Denny motion. And the Denny motion is a thing that is unique to Wisconsin.
Yes.
You can't actually make a allegation towards a third party, which means say that someone else did it at your own trial, which seems a bit silly. You have to make a motion separately. And there was a motion made against Mr. Campbell. But it is available, and I made a link to it. You can go and find it. Hang on. Let me just see. I did post it for the mods, but if you didn't, they might not have access to it right now. Just go to where I put it.
Right, Malcolm? You
There
have
it
to
is.
show a pretty high, there's a pretty high bar you have to meet to be able to raise the alternate suspect defense, which is to me just absurd because that's just a standard. The police had other suspects they could have investigated. They didn't. This guy, this guy, this guy. Why didn't? And there were many. But you have to, you as the defense have to have a high bar, a very large, I'm not sure the exact standard. I believe at least 50-50 it could have been him, which
Oh, okay.
I believe it's that. I could be mistaken, but there's a higher, much higher bar. Other states don't have that, and it really cripples the defense in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Especially in this case when Campbell was a very sus character.
And you can read all about that in that Denny motion there.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in the defense's theory regarding Mr. Campbell, it's all in that link there, guys. So yeah, that's all available to you. And yeah, and also David did a stream called What is a Denny Motion? Thank you, Stray, for that. That's an excellent link to be posting right now. So yeah, I have booked David for a few weeks away to go through that. But I didn't want to do it just yet because I'd rather sort of go through the major pieces of the trial first. And also the same with having Solomon on. I'd like to have Solomon on later in the series once we've sort of gone through the trial. I would rather people who are new to this get the basics of the information and then hear from experts, I guess. Yeah, have your own chance to make your mind up, I suppose, and then hear all that really juicy extra information that comes from people who are really close to it, like Solomon, for example. Because yeah, I mean, if it were me and I came to a stream and I'm already hearing information that's quite biased, people like myself believe he's innocent, right? If it were me, I'd be like, well, of course the brother thinks he's innocent. Yeah. But myself, I'm not connected with oh, my cat just sneezed. I'm not connected with Zach. I'm on the other side of the world. I was convinced on my own. I made my own choice.
When I heard the verdict, when I heard the verdict, I thought he should have been found not guilty because the state didn't prove it. The more I delve into this, it's like, holy crap, this guy is literally innocent. In my opinion. And there's like, I've been there on almost all Zachariah fundraising streams. I've supported Solomon and his brother. And it's just, it breaks my heart. Yeah,
it does. And so many of us, there are so many of us in the same boat. And if I always, when I do any stream, I always try to think of it from the brand new audience perspective, right? So someone just coming on and being like looking at this from the very first time, for the very first time. And if someone was presenting this to me and I'd never heard of Zach and I would want to know that the person presenting it to me was being as honest and genuine as possible, and that they were as unbiased as possible, at least when they first learnt about it. And so that's why I'm putting it forth this way. And obviously, Dali here, he started off as a blank slate too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was just another. I mean, I've watched over 50 cases.
Yeah.
There's probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 I'm passionate about. Most of them kind of just pass by.
Oh, yeah. Online, this is exactly, and I always say, you just say exactly what I'm thinking. My attitude is that I'm biased now. Yeah. I wasn't when I watched it. I went from possibly sus to totally innocent. Yep. Exactly right. Exactly right. Yep, you too. And then when we get closer to the end of the series, that's when I'm going to start to bring on people like Solomon, who'll give us way bigger picture. Then I feel that at that point, that's the right time, Anyway, this is a railroad of a trial, just makes me angry. Yeah, I know. All right. So that was that. Everybody, please go and download, listen to the Wrongful podcast. It's amazing. And again, it's aimed at people who have never heard of it before. It's really easy and digestible. Like, you can just listen to it. It's I think 6 episodes. 6?
Yeah, I believe so.
Pretty sure it's 6 from memory. And Josie and Ashley.
5 5 episodes, but there's 2 parts. So
yeah.
6
and
total.
It's just fantastic. Make sure you support it and share it out as well. It's on all those different platforms. Look at that. Look at them all. Everywhere you get podcasts, it is there. As I said, I've set this stream up to also be a podcast. So if you want, if you like, your workplace only allows podcasts and things, then you can listen to this one as well. But this one specifically is a podcast, and it doesn't have people going, "Oh, hey everyone, hey you." So it's just whatever you prefer. But great job to these guys. I can't say enough about how wonderful their work was on this. You're perpetually late. Dear. Hey, I'm Bronze. Hey, Jen. Hey, I'm here just getting to work, but wanted to check in and give my heart and support. Jen, you're wonderful.
Love you, Jen.
And Donna, you're late. Doesn't matter, love. Doesn't matter. It's nice to have you here. Yep, go support the Wrongful crew and make sure you listen to all of that. Share it to people who don't know anything about it. Law Kong, also, you have some excellent stuff on your channel. Really great research and things that you've done. So I need to give you a good shout out as well. If anyone wants to share Wrongful's link, that would be amazing. Sorry, not Wrongful.
Lawcon.
Yeah, link. That'd be
Mod
amazing.
has it. I can find it.
Fantastic. Hey, Rare Rosie, good to see you. You're new here. Oh, wonderful. Do you know about Zachariah Anderson's case? Please have a look, and anything you can do to get to know it, that would be fantastic. We love having new faces in here. We really, really do. This is something we're all really, really passionate about. It's great to have you here. Thanks for dropping by.
Oh, you do know it, Rare Aussie.
Oh, you do?
Awesome.
Wow, sweet. When's the next Scott Peterson stream? Oh, Malcolm. Wow, it's Monday night. Now, I haven't decided yet if it's going to be at 6:30 p.m. Eastern or 9 p.m. Eastern. I might have a very special guest on Monday night. Very special guest.
Very surprising.
Yes. That's yet to be announced, but it's definitely going to be Monday night. I'm just a bit iffy about the time slot on that. So just keep your notifications on. I will be announcing it in the next 24 hours or so.
Can I just say another Aussie has joined the chat?
No, we have quite a few Aussies here. I
feel like I'm being attacked by Aussies.
The Aussies love you. The day Zach is exonerated, there will be a vacant cell for Michael Gravely to take. Oh yeah, he'll just love it, won't he? Won't he be popular in the Wisconsin prison? Yes. Okay, now next, there's 2 other shout outs I want to give. So Bill Hammer, he's working super hard lately. Like, we haven't seen him much on
Yeah.
stream.
Poor
And
guy.
big shout out to Bill Hammer. He is working long hours. So, but please, guys, if you're going to watch the trial or any trials, go to his channel. Wisconsin versus Zachariah Anderson. It's called No Body Murder, Wisconsin versus Anderson. Watch the whole trial and interrogation over there, okay? He has cut out all of the breaks. He's made it really easy to listen to. That's where it all is. Thank you, Bill, for all of your hard work.
Oh, and thank you, Stray.
What?
Stray just posted
Oh,
the link.
Stray, you're great. Thank
You are
you.
awesome.
And no commentary from people like us. And also follow and support Crime Circus and the Innocent Lives Matter
Yes.
playlist. Now, Crime Circus has 600 and something thousand subscribers and is just
Yes.
like
He
huge.
has taken an interest in Zachariah Anderson, also other innocent cases, including Franklin Tyrone Tucker, which is another
good
one
friend of
that
ours.
is
And
railroad.
make sure, guys, get into his comment section. If you have any time at all, go into the comment section of this one here, Zachariah Anderson's secret interrogation police interview. And there's also the one he's also put up Sadie's police interrogation, police interview, right? There's plenty of people in there who are having a go at him for supporting Zach.
Yeah, a lot.
We need people in those comment sections telling the truth about Zach. So any help that you can give in there would be fantastic. All right, that's that. And oops, next. The very last thing I want to say is this. Please, every dollar helps. Please give generously. Zach's Defense Fund still needs your support. Give Send Go link is in the description and it's pinned to chat. It's at the top there, guys. So please give generously. I know there are other things around, people asking for money, and that's fine. People can give to whatever they like, but it could be up to $500,000 that Zach's going to need just to get an appeal happening. All right. It's every time we think that we have reached a certain milestone, it's just,
I mean,
a little
we have reached a milestone in like things like they have to hire investigators. They have to pay their lawyers this amount to further the case. They're trying to do small stepping stones. His original case was over 400,000, probably closer to 500,000. I confirmed that in a news article. Bravely bragged about it, by the way. So his appeal is going to be even more. It was 20,000 just to get the transcript certified to launch an appeal. It's disgusting. And this travesty of justice needs all the help you can give.
Yep. So anyway,
Rant ended.
Pardon?
Rant ended. Go ahead.
Rant ended. No, that's okay. It's important. It's really important. So, look, there's no question about it. Every time he goes to court, every motion, every hearing, we're talking like $50,000 a go, guys. So yeah. Hey, I'm Shannon. Good to see you. That's lovely. Thank you. I'm so pleased. Oh, thank you. Love you too, Myra. So it's just extremely important that we don't forget that this is happening and it's happening now. I just want to check.
And also just one thing. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, you're right.
As Andrew Bronca said, he needs the money sooner rather than later. His appeal deadlines are now. So if you wait, you can't really go back and try to help him.
No, exactly. So anyway, right. We are going to raid Mr. Steve Gosney. He is,
Mr. and Mrs. Dolly.
Oh, can we? Just wondering, is he actually alive right now? Yeah, he is. Yes, he's live right now. Just checking that he is live right now. He is. Just making sure I've got the right stream to go to. Yep. Just checking. Yep. Cool. Management thoughts from Justin Wright. 8 p.m. Thursday. That's now, right? Yep. It's 8 p.m. Thursday?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
cool.
Let me
All
see.
right. Sweet.
Yeah, you just started.
Yeah, good. Because yeah, for me, it's Good Friday. It's Friday. Happy Easter, everybody. Yeah. So this is I actually put off any work today. I had some students book in for teaching today, graphic design, and I said, "Oops, sorry, I should have blocked out my schedule because it's Good Friday and that's an important religious holiday." But no, as far as I'm concerned, this is not work. This is something that's really, really important to me, and it's a good deed. It's a good deed, so it is something that I should be doing on Good Friday.
Thank you so
I'll be
much.
back. Happy to have found you. Oh, thank you, Rare Rosie. Thank you. Yes, definitely, and welcome. Thank you. Welcome to the family. Okay, so we're going to redirect over to Steve, and I'm going to wish him Happy Easter. In Australian time. Let's all say hello Raid, hello Dali Raid, whatever you want to say, and free Zachariah Anderson. So wonderful to have you all here, and it's nice to see that most of the people who came over from Dave's chat stuck around too. That was really nice.
Yes.
Awesome. Same time next week, 6:30 p.m. Eastern for part 6, and we're going to get into some of that DNA evidence. Yeah, that stuff. We're going to debunk some of that. Hey, all righty. Let's go. Free Zach. Bye.
Bye.